damage-wise, I won't give you exact numbers, but it was good. It's good planning, a good trap. Cleverness deserves some bonuses in there too. How bad, you don't know, but I know. But we'll
wait for another time.
I mean, and the odds of it being like where the head's exposed and it can't grab you, that would be a lot.
No, I know, but I had to look. It would be stupid to be on the road and then be like, I could have stopped it.
But yeah, so the only glimpse, the teaser we have is that this hand came out and its fingertips are missing in terms of flesh. It's definitely got metal fingertips on an otherwise burnt and fucked up hand. And we'll have to see what happens for the next time. But depending on what you guys do, next time might be the last time.
Jesus, Doug. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed. I know there was a lot of talky and there's a lot of whatever, but this thing, this is
the first Terminator had a lot of talky. I mean, there's like 3 police interrogation scenes.
Yeah. I'm just, in terms of like gameplay, I want to keep it fun, but I can't, the keeping the action moving when there's a killer robot with these stats after you is really fucking hard on the players, like, because it is so tough.
Well, the problem too is like the planning. It's like, okay, plan to escape this killer robot.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm a normal person. I'm not actually Major Jackson. I don't have a tactical background.
I mean, in the future, if you want, you can roll for things and just be like, here, I'm going to roll my tactical command thing. Give me ideas, Doug. Sure. I can, I can throw a couple bones. Sure. I will say that when the game is over, regardless of how it ends, I can give you a rundown on like what the stats are for this thing and like what like how tough this is. But it is very tough. Not impossible. Mm-hmm. It's very tough on purpose. That's the other experimental nature of this, is like how much real damage can you chip away at it to a point where it can become vulnerable. You guys did do some good stuff. I'm going to award some points really quick. Everyone gets at least one fate point.
Cool.
I'm also going to give 3 character points in addition.
All right, I earned everything back.
I'm gonna give Jarrod another 2 character points for doing like with the no fate, this bullshit. This sounds like bullshit to me, like standing up to like Major Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, it is bullshit. It's just Major Jackson's been brainwashed.
I mean, but again, this is something that we said. You both set up a lot of interesting stuff that I think bouncing off of each other in the next sit down can definitely.
Well, it's also great that they had some parallels. Like he's like his parents were killed, and then also but so he's like, I don't know, like, why is this worth it? And then BJ's like, Jackson's like, well, let me tell you a story about what happened to me, and this is why it actually made me stronger and not.
The thing that you both made similar backgrounds for these characters, like independently.
Yeah.
You're like, I live in a mobile home park. I live in a trailer park. I'm like, okay, you're probably like not. You would be familiar with the area. You'd be familiar with, you all would know each other.
It'd be wild if they were neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're literally neighbors, and I think it'd be a little too, like, pretty too coincidental.
Why do you look so old?
You know Mrs. Jefferson, my first grade teacher? I had her. She's great. Other than that,
what do you think, Jarrod? Were you expecting? You weren't expecting Terminator, right?
Oh yeah, so this is the big reveal. When did it become 100% obvious what was happening in terms of what kind of adventure you were on? I know we left off with like a killer was after you. And then when we start this, the first thing that John says to you is, "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah, I was expecting, like, I know what you did last summer in my session, but then when John rolls up, I'm like, oh, it's Terminator. Okay.
Just the fact that it's a car, or just like what? Like what did it?
I think it's just the unstoppable nature of the killer. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
knocking a car into him and everything else like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that did it for me was actually when he revealed his identity. Like, oh, this is like more science fiction than
when
than
what do you
horror.
mean when Major Jackson was talking and he says my name is Jackson?
Yeah,
Blah, blah.
yeah,
Gotcha.
And
But again,
I didn't know it was Terminator until well after the whole survival.
Oh yeah, I want to tell him from your
thing.
perspective how things went.
Yeah, at first we were just kind of like I created my character who was the dad, who was Bernard Jackson Sr., I guess. And we were just doing some business, selling T-shirts, giving tours to Japanese tourists. And then we get notified that my missing wife's father, who we said is a senator, he's a powerful U.S. senator. That's why it was so embarrassing that she had a kid out of wedlock and all this stuff, and she ended up in a cult. And he contacted him and said, "Hey, if you leave your kid with me, and I'll give you all this money." And I'll also give you the where your wife is. Like I know where she is. You can go get her right now, but you have to leave the kid. And I was like, well, I'm not leaving my kid with you because I don't want you to take the kid and say I abandoned him. I don't trust you. So I left him at the RV park with some neighbors. But then I'm on the highway and I hear like banging, and I'm like, oh shit! And I find out that the kid is in the back. He's stowed away. Who's that's BJ, right? That's Major Jackson, but as an 8-year-old. And then we're on it was like, fuck it, I have to take you back. But before we could do that, these cops pulled up and were like, give us all your stuff. And we're like, what the fuck? And they have their families with them. And one of them's like, you have to tell them what happened. You have to tell them what's happening. I'm like, they're like, shut up, and all this stuff. So they take all of their stuff, like weapon, guns and all this shit, all the stuff he had ready to go save his wife from this cult.
Yeah.
And they get back on the road, and then that's when they hear, they see all these flashes in the background. They hear the emergency broadcast that there's nuclear bombs going off. Oh. And he's like, fuck it. Let's just go where the senator told us to go, which there was a cabin that he gave us a location of that has a fallout shelter, just as like a base of operations or something. I forget what it was, but anyway, long story short, they get to the cabin, they find a fallout shelter, they hide in the fallout shelter, and they're there for years until they end up getting taken by the machines. And at this point, he thinks it's aliens, not Skynet, because
these weird flying machines scoop up people,
and so they have no idea what it is until BJ escapes, and then he finds out about Skynet. I personally didn't know, even through all the survival phases, because I had to roll every year how they did, if anything happened, how they survived, how they're faring, all this stuff. So I didn't actually know until we got almost because you did the John Connor spiel, over the radio,
But either way, it was you played half that game without knowing what the fuck was going on, and then you're thinking. I remember like describing the nukes are going off, and John's just like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? Like, this is what kind of game is this? Whatever. Yeah. And then leading all the way up, he followed the trail leading up to where you were LARPing.
That's right. Because my character goes, we're going. I tell one of the guys at the trailer park, I'm going up to this cabin for a little bit. If anything happens, this is where I'll be. And he goes, well, be careful out there. A bunch of kids were killed not too long ago, and they never got the killer or whatever. And I guess that was what happened to your character.
Exactly. Yeah. In 1997, John's the character Major Jackson's dad heard from a friend, you're going up to the woods, a bunch of kids got killed out there with some crazy killer on the loose or whatever, which was what was happening with you. And then of course it all starts to piece together when you're getting sent back in time and all that stuff.
I really wanted to take Zach to that cabin, but I realized if the T-800 destroys that cabin, then there's no Major Jackson, and then there's no Zach.
This weird paradox.
Yeah.
I will say, I do believe the time travel rules in this series are different than like Back to the Future or any of the other stuff.
Sure.
So we'll see. But I am anxious to see, now that we got all the introductions out of the way, you guys know what's at stake. You've had a couple run-ins. You see how tough this thing is. I look forward to the finale of this, which I believe could be the next one, depending on how you guys want to play it. We're
gonna spend 3 real-time years hiding out until Judgment Day. There is a thing about the time paradox though. Like, you do have to be careful, because like the whole reason why T2 happens is because of the compounded technology from Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cyberdyne now found parts. Now there's more. T2, Cyberdyne found parts. Now it's worse. T3, Cyberdyne found parts. Now it's worse. So it's compounded every time they try to go back and stop Judgment Day. It still happens. It's just, it keeps getting worse because they keep leaving shit for Cyberdyne to find. So yeah, so it's a whole thing.
But we can deal with that. We'll deal with all of your theories. Now that you can both talk freely about what you want to do, I think you can both try to. You don't have to include me in the conversation, but if you wanted to talk off of mic about what you want to do, how you want to proceed, I do want to encourage that, because this is very much open to whatever you want to do. You know.
Well, we might find the place we're gonna hide out, and then kind of not metagame, but like fast forward kind of to them where they're at, or do you anticipate them being immediately chased?
I'd say figure out if you know a place you want to go to, or if you want to try and find a place. I think by the time we pick up the next game, we can pick it up in Pennsylvania, and you're either looking for a spot or you already have a spot in mind.
Okay,
we can discuss that off mic and then figure that out.
Sounds good.